They discovered Enoch's shocking prophecy. What will happen when the heavens break open? Few knew what truly happened that night in a world long forgotten, where whispers of the past blended with the winds of mystery. A figure emerged from the shadows of disbelief. Enoch, the one who walked with God. His prophecy trembled on the edge of revelation, a darkened sky lit by the fires of excitement. What would happen when the heavens broke open? People gathered in hushed corners, their breath hitching at the mere mention of his name. Enoch had vanished, taken up to the heavens, or so the stories told, leaving behind a legacy coated in intrigue and spectral moments. The air crackled with an unnameable energy. The moon hung low, casting eerie shadows that danced along the edges of uncertainty. People felt it in their beneath. A shift, a change, something was coming. Time laid heavy upon the land. It was an age when giants walked the earth, each step a heartbeat echoing with dread. Amidst whispers and prophecies, Enoch had written of celestial storms, of future judgments and divine revelations. His words twisted into a knot of confusion. How could a man, simply one man, hold the fate of many? Yet, as the night deepened, his visions surged forward, igniting fear and awe. The fruits of his predictions turned to ash in their mouths. Would they witness flames from the heavens? Earth opening wide to swallow the wicked? Every trembling voice spoke of uncertainty. Eyes rolled skyward, searching, hoping, dreading what might come next. And in the midst of this tension, the air thick with the scent of impending doom, someone asked a question that hung heavy like a thundercloud. What if it's already begun? A silence fell. Hearts raced. There was an urgency pulsing through the crowd. A connection between the past and what loomed ahead. What of Enoch's secrets? What choices lay before them? Each mind spun with endless possibilities. Fear gripped them, and still some felt a flicker of hope. A chance of redemption. Perhaps what if the heavens did break open, and what they found was not destruction, but a call to transformation? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the night wore on, the murmurs of the crowd grew restless, each pulse of anxiety reverberating through the bodies gathered. They watched, transfixed, as shadows shifted among the stars, and the winds whispered secrets that felt all too pressing. Each heartbeat seemed to synchronize with an unseen force, pulling their souls taut. In that moment of collective anxiety, a figure stepped forward, an elder, wise with the years marked by sorrow and revelation. His hands trembled slightly as he raised them to quiet the crowd. Listen, he began, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. What we fear is not always what we must face. For every prophecy that echoes with dread, there comes a seed of hope. Enoch spoke not just of judgments but of transformations, of a new path unfolding before the children of man. His words fell heavy in the night air, and an awestruck silence descended once more. The crowd leaned in, the weight of expectation palpable. With each gaze locked on the elder, the flickering lanterns cast dancing light upon their faces, revealing a tapestry of apprehension interwoven with curiosity. What if, the elder continued, the breaking of the heavens is not merely a herald of doom? What if, instead, it is an unveiling of truth? Could the heavens breaking open reveal not destruction but what lies hidden within our very hearts? Skeptical glances were exchanged, yet beneath the surface, a quiet revelation began to unfurl. If they were to stand united in their struggles, perhaps it would take not just courage but an awakening recognition that there existed a divinity interwoven with their lives, a thread connecting each moment of doubt to a divine promise forged and loved. As the elder spoke, visions of Enoch's past filled the minds of many. They recalled how he had walked among them, weaving wisdom into the fabric of their daily lives. They remembered his laughter, his warmth, the way he had opened the eyes of others to see the world through a lens of mercy rather than judgment. Would they, too, be worthy of such transformation? The air around them seemed to hum in response, a reminder of the promise that lay just beyond view. Yet, even as hope began to flicker in the hearts of the earnest seekers, a dark shadow loomed on the horizon. Memories of giants, their wrathful gaze, the devastation they could conjure reminded them that peril loomed close. Would redemption come at too great a price? Above, the sky darkened further, an unnatural shade creeping into the heavens, cloaking the moon's light. The question lingered like the dawn mist, elusive yet captivating. If the heavens were to break open tonight, what truths would be revealed? And would we have the courage to embrace them? An electric tension hung in the air, compelling the onlookers to ponder what lay ahead. Each heart echoed the silent question. Were they ready to face the light that might pierce the darkness before them, or would they retreat into fear, clinging to the shadows? As the elders' words settled over the crowd like a soft mantle, the muted sounds of the night seemed to deepen, as if the very earth listened with bated breath. Among them, a young man named Eli, who had yearned for answers since childhood, felt a stirring within. His mother had told him stories of Enoch, the great scribe of heaven, whose every utterance was said to hold the weight of divine wisdom. Yet, in the shadow of looming uncertainties, Eli found himself torn between the inheritance of faith and the burden of doubt. Could it truly be? He wondered silently, replaying the elders' words in his mind. Could opening the heavens lead to such revelation? And would it then change us forever? The flickering flames of hope ignited by the elders' declaration flickered dangerously close to extinguishment amidst the fears that brewed in countless hearts surrounding him. As if sensing his turmoil, a hand clasped Eli's shoulder. It was Ruth, an elder's daughter known for her intuitive spirit. "What troubles you, Eli?" she asked, her voice a whisper that danced between them. Though fear throbbed beneath the surface of her calm demeanor, there was a flicker of light in her eyes that encouraged him to share his concerns. "What if the breaking of the heavens doesn't bring the comfort we seek?" he murmured, glancing up at the swirling, darkened sky. "What if it reveals the very worst of us?" Ruth considered his words carefully, letting the weight of possibility hang in the air. Sometimes what we deem worst can also be the path to our greatest awakening. Enoch believed that pain and revelation walked hand in hand, coaxing the truth from our hearts. It is in the crucible of fear that we discover our strength. Her words bore a truth he could not deny. Eli's mind drifted again to the tales of Enoch, of how he had danced between the mundane and the divine, always seeking to bridge that great chasm. What if the great patriarch had laid forth those prophecies not merely as harbingers of chaos but as a means of awakening? Could the dark clouds unravel in such a way that they illuminate the inner light rather than extinguish it? Suddenly, a ripple of shouts broke through the tension, pulling Eli from his thoughts as figures emerged from the outskirts of the gathering. They were travelers, weary yet urgent, faces marked with the signs of their journey. Their eyes gleamed with a mix of fear and determination, and within their midst, a woman cradled a scroll tightly against her chest in rhythmic unison. The crowd parted, drawn to the travelers as a moth to a flame. Their presence demanded attention, carving through the heavy silence like a piercing cry. The woman, stepping forward, raised the scroll high, its edges tattered yet radiant under the dim light. "We have come from the east," she proclaimed, her voice an echo of the wild winds. "We have witnessed wonders, visions shown to us in our dreams, gleanings from Enoch himself. We were compelled to share what we have received, for the heavens have spoken." Eli felt the pulse of energy in the crowd shift, their trepidation mixing with curiosity. The elder, still raised above the throng, nodded solemnly. "Speak, sister of the scroll. What does the heavens reveal?" The woman unfurled the scroll, her gaze sweeping across the faces now rapt with attention. "The breaking of the heavens will not herald our end but rather reveal the true essence of our souls. Each truth laid bare will challenge us, yes, but also free us from the chains of our own making. Judgment is but a mirror reflecting our choices." The declaration sent murmurs of disbelief through the crowd. Eli felt the truth lapping against his heart, both terrifying and exhilarating. Would we truly be ready to confront the depths of our desires, our fears, our hidden sins? He thought, as the weight of the prophecy enveloped him, as the sky darkened further. A volley of thunder cracked overhead. Startled gasps rippled through the onlookers, blanketing them in uncertainty. Ellis' heartbeat quickened. The answers hung in the balance, drawing ever closer, yet the resolution felt frustratingly far away. What indeed would be laid bare when the heavens would break open? Would they find the courage to face the frailty of their existence, or would they turn away from the light seeking to unveil the truth within? The air crackled with anticipation as night unfolded, leaving Eli and the crowd to grapple with an unsettling question that begged for resolution. Would they embrace the illumination waiting just beyond the dark? As the murmurs of the crowd swirled like the autumn leaves caught in a gust, Ellis' heart aligned with the tremor of uncertainty in the air. The woman with the scroll stood steadfast, yet the storm in the heavens seemed to echo the turmoil brewing within the hearts of the onlookers. Listen, she continued, her voice rising above the chaotic murmurs. For Enoch's message is one of warning and wonder. To confront the truth is to step into the light, yet not all will find solace there. The unveiling will force us to face the shadows we have kept hidden, and not all shadows will welcome the dawn. Ellis' gaze darted across the faces around him. Some were hardened with defiance, others softened with fear, while a few glimmered with the spark of hope. What will we become if we choose to unravel ourselves before the divine gaze? He pondered, his heart heavy with the weight of that question. He remembered the stories of those who had come before, of how their greatest fears often materialized as they sought to break free from the chains of their past. The elder, sensing the tremors of emotion rising and falling like the tide, raised a hand to restore order. We stand at the precipice of revelation, he declared, eyes widening with fervor. Let us not shy away from what the heavens may reveal, but instead embrace the possibility of transformation that truth brings. Our faith must be our anchor amidst this uncertainty. Encouraged by his words, Eli felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. What if the unfolding of this prophecy was the very gift they all needed? A guided passage through their darkest fears towards ultimate enlightenment. Yet the shadows loom larger still, whispering doubts into the corners of his mind. The woman clutched the scroll closer to her heart. The revelations of Enoch speak not just of our judgment but of judgment that leads to rebirth. It is a calling for awakening, a chance to become more than what we have accepted ourselves to be. As the thunder rumbled ominously once more, the crowd leaned in, captivated by the merging of fear and curiosity. Rebirth? Eli whispered. Would they merely face the consequences of their actions, or could they indeed emerge transformed? His thoughts raced, tangled with the implication that facing the truth might not only reveal their sins, but also their virtues, the hidden potential cast aside in the mundane bustle of life. Every heartbeat counts, my friends, the woman proclaimed, urgency threading through her voice. Embrace this moment. Allow your hearts to unravel and your spirits to reach toward the divine. The heavens await, and the breaking is upon us. The air thickened with tension. Eli's mind spun with possibilities. What was this awakening, and could they truly muster the courage to endure the impending illumination? Would they rise, reborn from the ashes of their hidden truths, or would they falter at the threshold of judgment? The night sky, now flickering with flashes of celestial light, began to stir restlessly. Ellis' eyes caught sight of Ruth, who stood still, her gaze piercing the fabric of the heavens. She sensed it too, the unspeakable blending of terror and anticipation in the air. Are you ready, Eli? She asked softly, her eyes reflecting the stars. A shiver ran down his spine as he considered her question. How does one prepare for the unknown? He wondered. Could he shed the doubts that clung to him like a second skin and step boldly into the realm of revelation? As the first droplets of rain began to fall, mingling with the electric energy in the air, Eli looked toward the sky. He felt the impending breaking of the heavens drawing near, not just as an event to witness but as a metamorphosis to embrace. Would he, along with his people, seize this moment to confront their truths head-on, or would they shy away from the very light that had the power to free them? The uncertainty burrowed deeper into Ellis' heart. In this crucible of revelation, what self would he discover hidden beneath his fears? As the winds howled and the rain poured, one question lingered above all. What awaited them when the heavens broke open? As the rain fell, softly at first but soon spilling in torrents that drummed upon the earth, Eli felt a profound stirring within his spirit. Each drop echoed like a heartbeat, resonating with the pulse of an impending transformation. Faces around him glimmered under the falling water, their expressions shifting from consternation to wonder. The hum of the crowd seemed to hush under the weight of the moment, as if even their breaths were suspended in anticipation. The woman with the scroll unfurled it once more, the parchment wrestling against the wind as she read aloud, her voice steady and clear amidst the chaos. For behold, she intoned, the heavens shall tear open as a veil, revealing the hidden paths of righteousness and the deep wells of hearts long forgotten. Each soul shall stand bare before the Creator, their secrets unraveled like the threads of a frayed tapestry. Eli's thoughts spun with the implications of her words. What threads had he kept hidden in the recesses of his own heart? What fears, regrets, and yearnings lay dormant, waiting for this cosmic moment of unveiling? Was he truly prepared to confront them when the heavens declared their truths? As the night deepened, the crowd stood in rapt attention, the storm's energy invigorating yet also fraught with trepidation. Ellis' eyes drifted to Ruth, whose vibrant spirit shone through the storm like a beacon. He had always admired her ability to see beauty where others saw only despair, but tonight, an uncharacteristic doubt shadowed her features. What if the truth we uncover is too much to bear? She whispered, her voice nearly lost in the tumult. Perhaps, Eli replied, grappling with his own uncertainties. But what lies hidden in the dark could also illuminate our paths forward. We have sacrificed so much at the altar of denial. Could this not be our ultimate chance for healing? The weight of his words hung in the air, a tentative offering to the fears that swirled around them. The sky crackled with energy as the woman spoke of Enoch's vision. He beheld wings of fire and voices of thunder declaring liberty. But with each blessing, a reckoning awaits. Each heart must grapple with its shadows to discover the light within. She paused, scanning the faces drawn to her, searching for signs of acceptance amidst the flickering doubts. Will you embrace this divine metamorphosis, or return to the shadows you'll hide behind? Eli felt the challenge resonate deep within him. Wasn't this the very essence of their faith, that through trials they could find transformation? But that also meant they would have to sift through the debris of their past, an echoing challenge that twisted in his heart. He thought of his own hidden truths, the moments he had failed others, and the burdens he had carried silently for so long. The storm intensified, rain now cascading from the heavens as if the sky itself wept. Eli looked at the crowd gathered before the woman. He could see doubt mingling with readiness, fear intertwined with an eager longing for liberation. Each individual was a tapestry, threads woven through experiences, fears, and hopes. Will we yield to renewal? He wondered in that pivotal moment. A crack of lightning illuminated the sky, casting a divine spotlight upon the earth. An ancient parchment fluttered, threatening to fly from the woman's grasp as her voice rose boldly with the next proclamation. The heavens tear. My friends, are you ready to be known? The wind howled in response, as if the universe itself awaited their reply. Ellis' soul cried out within him, a yearning for freedom tempered by the weight of uncertainty. As he stepped closer, he felt the collective heartbeat of the crowd beckoning him to speak. What would he say when faced with the truth of who he was and the undiscovered self waiting in the shadows? Watching the heavens above roil with energy, he realized the question weighed heavier still. What awaited them when the heavens truly broke open, and would they find strength or destruction in their revelations? Would each truth gathered like precious stones in their hands lead them toward a greater inheritance? As the tempest raged overhead, the suspense thickened like fog wrapping around the crowd. Eli stood at the threshold of uncertainty, the very air alive with potential. The woman's voice, a clarion call amidst the chaos, ignited a flicker of hope within him. In the unraveling of truth lies the binding of unity, she proclaimed, her words ringing out like chimes struck by the wind. Around him, Eli could feel the shivering anticipation of those gathered. Each person held their breath, poised for revelation. Faces aglow with the flicker of candlelight now turned upward, their eyes flashing with reflection and fear as they contemplated the darkness within. The rain bathed them, a cleansing touch from the heavens, while simultaneously urging them to confront the hidden fears cloaked under their own skin. Waves of memory washed over Eli, illuminating moments past. The greedy whispers of envy, the bitter taste of betrayal, the gentle ache of love unreturned all waited in the wings, longing for acknowledgement. He sensed that if he stepped forward to embrace this moment, he would not only uncover his own truths but also offer a mirror for the others to gaze into, revealing that they shared a common humanity woven into their struggles. Without realizing it, Eli had moved closer to the woman with the scroll. Her unwavering gaze met his, and for a brief breath, he felt as though she could see the very essence of his soul laid bare before her. He swallowed against the tightness in his throat, an unspoken truth on his lips begging to escape. What if, he whispered, scarcely louder than the wind, what if the path forward is paved with understanding rather than judgment? Ah, young one, she replied softly, her voice cutting through the storm, you grasp the heart of what is to come. Understanding arises from vulnerability. Judgment is birthed from fear. Each heart must decide whether to face the unseen or retreat into the familiar shadows. As she spoke, the crowd surged forward, curiosity battling with trepidation, each soul mirroring Elis' own struggle. Ruth caught his eye, her expression shifting like leaves in the wind, torn between the solace of known pain and the risk of liberation. How many among them wrestled with the same uncertainties? The woman raised her arms to the sky as another flash of lightning illuminated her figure against the storm. Seek not just the answers to your questions, but the questions themselves. The journey unfolds not in certainty, but in willingness to explore. What mysteries lie within your heart? What treasures may be uncovered in this sacred unveiling? The crowd stirred, a whispered collective pondering weaving through them like threads of a shared tapestry. Eli felt the weight of the moment gather, each heartbeat echoing the reality that their answers were perhaps obscured by their unasked questions. What if the greatest truths arise from our deepest fears? He contemplated aloud, more to himself than to anyone else. Ruth stepped forward, emboldened by his common search. If we dare to embrace what we hide, perhaps we can transform our past mistakes into a mosaic that reflects our growth. But how do we begin? Her voice was steady, yet the tremor of anticipation betrayed her to be why embracing the storm within. The woman answered, her expression fierce and compassionate. Honor what lies beneath the surface. It is there that the divine can coax the light into existence. Each revelation is a seed, waiting for the fertile soil of your willingness. Will you be the gardener of your own soul? The crowd processed this, an intricate web of hope and fear interlaced among them. Eli felt a swell of understanding, as if the clouds above were drawing back as much as they were unleashing their torrential downpour. To hold the unknown is both a burden and a gift, he mused. Could it be that our willingness to face discomfort may lead us to a brighter place? As lightning streaked across the sky once more, Eli stood on the precipice of the moment, his heart racing in synchrony with the storm. What awaits us if we embrace the challenge of self-revelation, and will we find the strength, as a community, to rise together from the ashes of our despair? The question hung palpable in the air, an unresolved echo that mirrored the tempest above. Each heartbeat a reminder that transformation was imminent, yet cloaked in uncertainty. As the storm raged on, the atmosphere thickened with a weight of unspoken fears and latent hopes. Eli stood grounded, yet uplifted by the rising energy that seemed to surge among the onlookers. Through the cacophony of raindrops, a quiet stillness took root within him. He could feel destiny weaving intricate patterns through the threads of their lives. The woman with the scroll, a beacon of calm in the tempest, took a deep breath and began to unfurl the parchment at her feet. The scroll seemed to pulse with ancient wisdom, its edges fraying as if the words had been preserved for centuries, waiting for this very moment of reckoning. The crowd leaned forward, drawn into the promise of revelation and this sacred scroll. She announced, lies the prophecy of Enoch, a voice long silenced but not forgotten. He spoke of a time when the heavens shall break open, casting forth the truths we have long buried in the soil of shame and fear. As the words hung in the air, Eli's pulse quickened with the weight of what such a prophecy signified. What would it mean for the lives entwined in this moment? And what truths had they buried so deeply that they now threatened to fracture their very beings? The woman continued, her voice steady amidst the tempest's roars. He foretold that when the skies opened, it would not merely be chaos unleashed, but a restoration of unity and clarity. In that day, hearts would feel the weight of their own truths, and the veil of misunderstanding would be torn asunder. Eli's heart stuttered at the thought of vulnerability, the notion of raw honesty emerging from the storm's fury. Is this the storm we face? He thought, a prelude to something greater? The vision of souls laid bare, stripped of pretense and fear, stirred both excitement and dread within him. Could it truly lead to a deeper understanding of one another, or would it sever the ties already strained by silence? A ripple of fear coursed through the crowd as whispers began to circulate. What will happen to us when the heavens break open? What truths will we be confronted with? Questions spilled forth, each voice intertwining with the next like the fraying edge of the scroll. Some eyes blinked with tears, while others reflected defiance against the internal storm they felt rising within. Fear not the opening of the heavens, the woman implored, her strong gaze casting a net of compassion. Each of you is woven into the fabric of a grander tapestry. The storm is both a reckoning and a renewal. Trust in the journey you are about to embark upon. For though it begins with discomfort, it shall lead you to enlightenment. Eli observed Ruth, whose brow furrowed with concern, yet a flicker of curiosity ignited her spirit. The depths of her struggle mirrored that of many, and Eli wondered if her heart too held the key to unlocking the communal bonds sealed under unspoken fears. What if, he thought, our willingness to confront the truth could strengthen those bonds instead of breaking us apart? The woman raised her arms once more, calling for silence amid the din. The storm outside is but a reflection of the tempest within. Only when we engage with our own darkness can we dance in the light together. The prophecy beckons you to share your truths and take on this journey not as separate souls, but as interconnected beings gathered under the same sky. Eli felt the pull of something deeper. Will we emerge from this storm transformed or torn? He pondered. Can we rewrite the narrative of our past and find strength in our vulnerability? The questions remained unanswerable, suspended in the air as a crack of lightning illuminated the night sky, lighting up their faces with the shimmer of potential revelation as the winds howled. Eli closed his eyes, absorbing the energy surrounding him. There was something sacred in this gathering, something that felt both daunting and electric with promise. If the heavens do break open, what is it we shall discover about ourselves and one another? Will we have the courage to embrace the truths that surface, or will we shy away into the shadows? Again, and with that, the collective anticipation hung over them, a delicate web woven of fear and hope, waiting for the moment when the skies would burst forth, and they would be unveiled. As the winds howled with an ever-increasing intensity, the crowd found itself suspended in a moment that felt to Eli like the calm before a storm. The tension was palpable, each breath mingling with the falling rain, creating an atmosphere thick with trepidation and anticipation. Eli's gaze remained fixated on the woman with the scroll, her stance unwavering despite the chaos swirling around them. She was the anchor amidst the storm, a beacon of wisdom that promised insight into the unfolding mystery and the flickering light of the storms above. The scroll unfurled further, revealing symbols and markings that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The woman's fingers traced the parchment reverently, as if she were in communion with the ancient words that had been etched into it. Enoch spoke of the trials that would herald the opening of the heavens, but also of the pathway to wholeness. She proclaimed, her voice cutting through the clamor. We stand at the threshold not just of chaos, but of a transformative awakening. Eli felt a stirring in his soul, a question igniting within him. What does it mean to awaken? Could this storm, with all its tumult, truly serve as a catalyst for their deeper understanding? His heart beat in rhythm with the pulsing energy of the crowd, where doubts and fears were mirrored alongside flickers of hope and bravery. Could they withstand the fire of revelation that Enoch foretold, or would it reduce them to ashes? Around him, the people wrestled with their own inner storms, confusion and longing battling in their expressions. Eli caught a glimpse of Miriam, her hands trembling at her sides, a physical manifestation of the struggle within. Would the revelation of truth feel like liberation for her, or would it expose fractures that would be impossible to mend? And what of his own heart, already heavy with unspoken burdens? Know this, the woman declared, her voice steady and melodic in its power. In every heart lies a truth yearning for the light. Silence may shield you from pain, but the absence of truth can also imprison the soul. The prophecy does not simply warn of destruction. It invites us to rise above the fears that bind us, to embrace the uncertainty with courage. Eli pondered the magnificence of that invitation to rise above. What would it take for a group so disparate in experiences and histories to face their truths as a united front? The thought sent chills down his spine, for the prospect of shared vulnerability often felt like walking over a precipice with no safety net. Still, the flicker of unity stirred within him, challenging his fears with a new awareness of possible connection. A clap of thunder rolled overhead, sending shockwaves through the assembly. Are we prepared to meet ourselves as we truly are? Eli whispered to the wind, grappling with the weight of introspection. In this storm, he sensed that what they were about to confront reached far beyond personal grievances. It had the potential to reshape their communal identity, establishing bonds made of truth rather than silence. The woman held the scroll aloft, letting it billow in the wind like a flag of resistance against the darkness that tried to smother them. Let your hearts be your guide, she implored. Trust in the prophecy's promise that from the confusion of the storm will come clarity. As she spoke, a dazzling flash of lightning split through the sky, illuminating faces aglow with a mixture of fear and resolve. Caught in the eerie brightness of that moment, Eli felt an unshakable bond with his fellow townspeople. They were not merely individuals grappling with their own storms. They were part of an intricate web of shared humanity, intertwined by their joys and sorrows. And just as the tempest raged outside, an inner storm of reckoning swirled fiercely within each of them. Was this the beginning of their awakening, or merely the precursor to destruction? Ella's heart raced as the reality of their shared experience settled in. The truth would emerge. That was certain. But at what cost? He glanced at Ruth, then back at the crowd, witnessing the fierce struggle in their eyes. How many hidden truths would be uncovered? How many would falter in their willingness to step into the light? And yet, despite the uncertainty that loomed, Eli could not shake the feeling that within the chaos, something beautiful was waiting to be birthed. As he closed his eyes against the whipping winds, he asked himself a question that would linger long after the storm subsided. Could the very act of confrontation, of embracing their truths together, be the only path to true communion? As the storm continued to rage, the echoes of thunder became a distant reminder of something deeper stirring within Ella's heart. He remained attuned to the resonance of the woman's words, contemplating the weight of her prophecy, while the townspeople wrestled with their own inner turmoil. The scroll hung heavy in the air, a bridge between ancient wisdom and their immediate reality. Amidst the cacophony, Eli noticed a shift in the crowd, a collective inhalation, as if all were holding their breath for the unveiling of something they feared yet desired. Faces illuminated by lightning drew together in a tapestry of emotions, a spectrum ranging from fear to fierce determination. Whispers of hidden truths began to weave through the crowd, weaving a fragile thread of connection that pulsed alongside the wild energy of the storm. Listen closely, the woman called, her voice unwavering despite the tempest's roar. The skies above us mirror the tumult within us. Our trials are not merely burdens. They are sacred invitations to self-discovery. Enoch's words remind us that storms do not merely destroy but also prepare the ground for renewal. We are asked to confront not only the outside chaos but the tempest within us. Eli's heart quickened at her call to introspection. Renewal. Was it as simple as turning towards the light, as she suggested, or was the pathway fraught with fears that could tear them apart? He glanced at Ruth, the sparks of hope igniting in her eyes, and felt a swell of courage alongside his uncertainty. How could one answer such a call without first facing the shadows lurking in the corners of their own souls? As if sensing his thoughts, the woman continued, "Each of you carries a fragment of a greater truth." Enoch spoke not only of the darkness. He left us with an image of rebirth, of a united people rising from the ashes. But to uncover this revelation, we must each face the storms of our hearts, the doubts we cling to, the fears we hide. In that moment, the wind shifted, gently tousling the hair of those gathered, as if beckoning them to surrender to the vulnerability that shared understanding could bring. Eli felt each word sinking into his being, and the collective consciousness of the crowd began to shift. One by one, quiet confessions emerged, voices trembling yet resolute. A man stepped forward, his expression a mixture of sorrow and relief. "For too long, I have been burdened by the weight of my mistakes," he admitted, his voice cracking under the strain. "I have hidden in silence, afraid to face those I have wronged. But perhaps it is time to seek forgiveness, to set my heart free." The crowd shifted as these words took root, giving rise to an atmosphere charged with compassion and vulnerability. Another woman spoke next, her eyes glistening with untold grief. "I have allowed my fears to dictate my life, holding me back from the joy that freedom could bring. I must face my past to embrace the future, what awaits on the other side of the storm." Eli felt his heart swell with an awareness of the power of shared experience. Could each of these confessions represent a fractal of Enoch's prophecy, a piece of the puzzle that would guide them toward wholeness? The pulsating energy of hope began to seep into the collective pulse of the crowd, creating a rhythm that echoed with the promise of unity. And yet, amidst the emotional outpouring, Eli felt a whisper of apprehension crawling back beneath his skin. What truths lay hidden in his heart? Would he have the courage to confront them? He was aware that awakening often demanded discomfort, and the pathway to communion might kindle realities he'd preferred to ignore as the storm raged. The woman with the scroll extended her arms, inviting more voices to join the chorus of revelation. "Speak your truths, and in these words, may we find strength." A palpable energy surged through the crowd, each story spilling forth with a sense of urgency, crafting connections forged in honesty. Eli stood at the precipice, burdened with the knowledge that silence could no longer shield him from his own truths. It was as if the very storm they feared was demanding their courage, urging every heart to find the light within. Yet, a single question gnawed at him, a haunting echo against the backdrop of thunder. What if the confrontation led not to unity but to further division? Would the awakening that Enoch promised truly be a blessing, or could it unravel the delicate threads that held them together? As the storm continued to lash against the gathered souls, the cacophony of thunder and pouring rain ebbed and flowed, a symphonic backdrop to their burgeoning revelations. Eloquently, the voices of those who had stepped into the light ignited courage within the crowd. Eli listened intently as one by one, they admitted to their fears, their shortcomings, and the hidden pains that had bound them for too long. Suddenly, a profound stillness punctuated the storm's fury, ushering the crowd into the sacred space of collective recognition. Inside this shared silence, Eli felt a shift in those gathered, a magnetic pull toward deeper vulnerability and truth. The storm's wrath outside diminished to a whisper, as if the heavens themselves paused to acknowledge the profound inner work beginning within the hearts of the people. He could almost hear the thrum of a song, the heartbeats harmonizing in unified strength as the unraveling commenced as if on cue. Ruth stepped forward, her spirit alight with newfound resolve. Eli watched as, with fierce grace, she bore her truth under the watchful eyes of the crowd. "I, too, have feared the judgment of others for too long," she confessed, her voice unwavering despite the tremors beneath. "I have hidden pieces of myself that I deemed unworthy. But standing here today, I realize I am not alone. We each have a part to play in weaving our narrative together, and it's time to embrace every facet, every flaw." Eli felt his heart swell, admiration brewing for Ruth's courage. Her divinely inspired words pierced through the thick fog of uncertainty that had enveloped him. "We are all looking for a balm for our hearts," he murmured to himself, and, just like that, He felt the pressure of his own hidden truths wanting to rise. "Can I face my fears?" he asked in the silence of his thoughts, clenching his fists. "What if they don't see me the way I wish to be seen?" Yet, the warmth of Ruth's declaration and the others' impassioned confessions built confidence within him. The storm outside may have mirrored their internal struggles, but it also echoed their battle cry for liberation. As the last echoes of Ruth's voice faded, Eli felt an almost magnetic energy inviting him into the circle of vulnerability. Inspired by the bravery of those embarking on their revelation journeys, he stepped closer to the woman with the scroll, the embodiment of the wisdom gleaned from Enoch's prophecies. In the flickering light that intermittently illuminated the gathering, it felt as though the universe itself was urging him to speak. "I cannot stand here and not share what I have denied," Eli began, his thoughts racing. "For far too long, I have battled self-doubt and hidden behind the mask of confidence. I've grappled with inner shadows that shamed my spirit, moments where my choices led to hurt, both towards myself and others. But I dread letting my truths be seen, as the fear of judgment gnaws at my heart." The crowd was silent, all eyes locked on him, revealing the depth of their own reflections. He could see empathy sparkling in their expressions. They too understood the weight of silent burdens. "Yet, I stand here craving liberation," Eli continued, a surge of honesty buoying his courage. "I desire a community that will accept the cracks in our facades, to know that our flaws do not define our worth. Maybe in revealing our shadows, we can illuminate our strengths together. I choose to embrace my truth. Are we willing, as a community, to brave the storm together?" The energy of the crowd shifted, a palpable wave of support embracing Ella's declaration. In that instant, Eli realized that the very act of revealing their truths had already connected the man, that the unfolding of each person's heart would collectively strengthen the bonds that held them all. Then, from the crowd, a ripple of voices surged forth, breaking through the bonds of silence. "We will stand united," one man shouted, while others echoed a chorus of acknowledgement. "We will not hide. We will celebrate each other." The fervor grew, a life force emerging from the depths of their shared humanity. The woman with the scroll beamed, the dignity of her presence granting permission for the energy defined by love and acceptance to pulse brightly among them. "Hear this, my friends," she proclaimed, raising the scroll high. "The heavens are breaking wide, and in this moment of vulnerable honesty, we shift the trajectory of our journey. Enoch's divine promise is unfolding. The sacred truths you embrace today allow healing to radiate through your stories." Just then, a bright bolt of lightning flashed overhead, illuminating the darkened sky with dazzling brilliance, and in unison, every person gathered felt their hearts lift. A wave of clarity washed over Eli, understood that confronting their truths amidst a raging storm bore the promise of renewal, a collective rebirth through honesty, molded by acceptance rather than judgment. Tears of realization streamed down his face as he took in the beauty of vulnerability unfolding within the gathering. He recognized that judgment was not the harbinger of their truth but the light leading towards grace. With kindred spirits navigating this journey together, they could unearth the hidden strength within themselves and offer it as a balm for one another in the middle of this beautiful chaos. Eli raised his arms, sensing the call to action within his bones. "Let us break free together," he shouted, galvanizing the crowd. "Let this storm be our catalyst for transformation." And in that moment, the heavens above broke open in a cascade of light, piercing the stormy skies with beams of radiant glory. Each individual in the gathering felt an awakening surge through their veins, bringing clarity and courage. It renewed their commitment to unity, a profound tapestry woven together by the unique colors of their shared truths, painted against the canvas of their connection. As rain poured down, mingling with the light, Ella's heart soared. He understood then that revelation had come, and in the fullness of their shared story, they were unveiled not merely as individuals facing judgment, but as a community forged in love, committed to lifting each other toward the light. The storm had not brought destruction. It had birthed their rebirth. That night, as the heavens wept tears of joy, Eli knew their hearts would forever echo with the song of their true, the miraculous anthem that would resonate long after the storm had passed. And with that, a powerful revelation filled the air. Confronting their fears and embracing their truths would always illuminate the path toward unity, healing, and divine transformation in moments to come. When the shadows of doubt dared to encroach, they would remember the heavens had broken open, not to shatter their faith but to reveal the depths of their strength and the beauty of their shared journey into the light.